All right, once again, Brackets 101. Here we go. Some basic tips to help you win your office pool. Let me preface this by saying I've never won a pool. Have never really won much of anything, to be honest. That said, this is like poker, a lot of luck involved, but I've got some advice that will increase your chances of winning, and we'll use this portion of the Midwest bracket as an example. Tip number one, don't go picking the South Central Louisiana State Mud Dogs, even if Bobby Boucher plays for them. 16 seeds never win. Even though they lost the game, you could argue that Illinois actually outplayed Minnesota here today. They outgained the Gophers by nearly 100 yards, and the story of the game is they had the ball inside their 35-yard line 6 different times, but only scored 2 touchdowns. 1 down, 4 to go. Illinois has to win 5 games in 5 days to win this tournament and advance to the NCAA tournament. Seems impossible. It will take a once-in-a-lifetime type run, but as we learned this week with Lovie Smith's arrival, anything seems possible these days when it comes to Illini athletics. The Illabuck Trophy was on the line today as the defending national champs came to town, and with games against Michigan State and Michigan upcoming, this one screamed, trap game! The Capital Games. Getting set to get underway here at the Prairie Capital Convention Center as the Illini make their debut at their home away from home. One quick note, LeRon Black, we were wondering if he was going to play tonight or not. Well, he's officially a game time decision, but if you ask me, I think he's going to play. He was out here in warm-ups, and he looked really good. But, you know, curses die hard. The Red Sox had to come back from a 3-0 hole.
True.
So if the Cubs can win tomorrow, they get Lester and Arrieta. Who knows?
The Cubs never make it easy.
We'll see what happens. We'll have highlights coming up. Plus, Matt Lovell spent the afternoon in Wrigleyville with some enthusiastic Cubs fans. Up next, he's going to introduce us to some of them, including one of the most interesting characters we've ever seen in the history of WAND television. Well, every now and then the sports world tends to throw us a curveball, and it did just that at around 1 o'clock Friday afternoon when Illinois Athletic Director Mike Thomas announced that Tim Beckman was no longer the head coach of the football team. Surprising news to say the least, because the season starts in just 6 days.
The Friday Frenzy starts right now. His vehicles that hit that rail, and then he took both.
Noah Newman here. Matt Lovelace on the Illini beat has given me the keys to the segue that is the Friday Frenzy. Now, it's not often we lead the program with college football, but tonight we do because we had a ball game at Memorial Stadium, or at least we were supposed to. But look at this. Mother Nature threw us a major curveball. All right, they played 2 at Wrigley after a late finish last night. Both teams could really use some coffee. Take a look at this picture. The Cardinals actually sent their rookies on a pregame coffee run to the Wrigleyville Starbucks, and as you can see, easy to spot because they were wearing their uniforms. But the Cubs were apparently more caffeinated.
It's likely to be a side-by-side finish.
So this will probably be the fastest 5th mile has ever looked. And you're racing tonight. Tell me about the race you're racing in.
Yeah, well, we've got the 2 biggest divisions in the United States.
2 of the top programs in the Midwest getting ready for their annual showdown here at the Scott Trade Center. Another key in this contest, the bench has to be productive. The bench accounted for as many points as you and I in that game against Cornell. 0 points.
Woo! The reverse. I know he can do that. Listen to the crowd.
And John reiterated numerous times that leaving Ohio was a very tough decision. In fact, when he looked at the pros and cons of coming here to Illinois, there was one con, having to say goodbye to his team at Ohio. Matt Lovelace and I took a trip to Mount Pulaski earlier today to reconnect with an old pal for a game of horseshoes and this brand new Bob Brady Sports Challenge. Almost 3 years ago to the day, we introduced you to Steve Bailey, who in turn introduced us to the game of horseshoes with a 26-7 beatdown. Oh, there goes Steve. Good throw. I don't think I've thrown horseshoes since then. That was the last time, probably. I pitched horseshoes.
I gave you a pair of horseshoes. You're supposed to go out back and drive a pipe or a stake in the ground and practice.
And he gave us some horseshoes, and they're sitting as clean as they could possibly be on our shelf back in the sports department at WAND. So we're a little rusty.
And there's a ringer. Bailey's been pitching horseshoes for over 50 years, but 19 years ago he had to start throwing with his left hand after losing 3 fingers in his right hand in a freak accident at work.
I was working on a ladder on a circuit right next to it, and I slipped off that ladder and made contact with 7,200 volts.
Steve learned to throw left-handed alongside none other than Springfield's Austin Bailey, who was recently featured on ESPN Sports Science.
I pitched with Austin's grandpa. He started bringing Austin out to horseshoe courts when Austin was about 6 or 7, and that was right after I lost my hand. So Austin and I kind of learned to pitch together. And I used to be able to beat him, but I can't anymore.
We're playing somebody who's an expert in the sport. This is the problem with the sports challenge. We play experts, but we got a chance today.
And at least now I can see. I'm wearing contacts.
Right. No excuse for the eyesight this time.
Let's go. Get in! Oh! At least it was 2 against 1. Each round we had 4 opportunities to score. Steve only had 2. But in the early going, 2 was more than enough for Mr. Bailey. Oh! 3 points. Oh, 5-0. Steve made music with the horseshoes to the tune of a 21-3 lead. But after a little H2O, Matt found his stroke and got us back in the game. Oh, yeah. All right. Just like the Counting Crows song, hanging around. Yeah. It was suddenly 26-11 when Matt applied some serious pressure. 2! Back-to-back ringers, 6 massive points, unless Steve could match.
Goodness gracious.
Unreal. 4 dead. Unbelievable. Sorry, Matt. And that's when reality set in like it usually does in the sports challenge. We had no chance.
It was a heartbreaker. I felt like we were going to put in a little bit of a run. When it got a little bit out of hand, you kind of knew it was going to be tough to come all the way back. I say we made it respectable. 30-11 may not sound like it, but I feel like it was.
Sure, for 2 guys that don't ever pitch any horseshoes.
Well, that was a great game. Thanks for having us out. Let's go eat some cookies and drink some lemonade.
Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.